Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of Caucus meeting to order of April 27th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Ms. Brock, this meeting was advertised in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll motion.
All right, a motion by
I'll second it.
Ms. Brown and a second by Councilmember Lawson. All in favor by sign of hands. And we have Councilmember Dawson on Zoom, and all the rest of us who are here today are here. All right. At this time, we need a motion to go into executive session. I will
Make that motion if you want to read them off.
read all three of them off. Under South Carolina Code, Section 30-4-70A2, legal advice related to discussion of negotiations incident to pending litigation or other matters covered by the attorney-client privilege. Cheryl Mundy et al. Versus Beaufort County litigation. B, under South Carolina Code, Section 30-4-70A2, legal advice related to discussion of negotiations incident to propose contractual arrangements and proposed sale or purchase of property or other matters covered by attorney-client privilege. This is real property covenants for parcels 5A and 5B in Bluffton as part of the Green Space Grant. C, under South Carolina Code, Section 30-4-70A5, discussion of matters relating to the proposed action, expansion, or provision of services encouraging location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by public body, ferry services. We had a motion by Councilman Cunningham. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Councilman Bartholomew. All in favor of going into executive session, and we will adjourn to another room so the public can stay in this room. That is unanimous, and we will not adjourn. We will go into executive session. Thank you.
Where was last time?
Yeah, down there probably.
Okay, back, in the back room, okay.
We are back in executive session. There is a motion coming out of executive session from Councilman Lawson.
I'd like to make a motion, please, this is regarding Defusky Island Ferry embarkation locations, and I move council authorize county administrator to be authorized to negotiate and execute initial documents related to location of potential site of an embarkation for Defusky Island Ferry operations during the construction of the upcoming Highway 278 bridge construction project.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Passman. All in favor by show of hands? Okay. And that is unanimous of all who are present and on Zoom. Is there any other actions to come out of executive session?
No.
Seeing none, we are adjourned from executive session. All right. Now, we need a couple of minutes. 2? Okay. Before we start our regular meeting. Anyone that wishes to sign up for public comment, you can do so now. Do we have anybody? We do have a few. Okay. Evening, I'd like to call to order the Beaufort County Council meeting of April 27th, 2026. Ms. Tabernick will do the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, so please continue to stand after the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we ask for wisdom and integrity for these council members as we make decisions affecting our county. Let us be mindful of our responsibilities to this community and dedicate ourselves to making decisions with fairness, wisdom, and compassion. Grant us the ability to work together in harmony for the good of our citizens. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Ms. Brock, this meeting was advertised in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
All right, Ms. Brown, a second?
I'll second.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Yes, ma'am?
I'd like to make a motion to remove item, sorry, I have to double check, item number 9, which was a discussion item. The voter group has decided not to include this, so I'd like to make a motion to remove item 9 from the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second it.
A second by Councilman Bartholomew. All in favor of the amendment by show of hands? That is unanimous. We didn't have any discussion, but it was a discussion.
Yep.
All right, going back to the original approval of the agenda as amended. All in favor of the agenda as amended? And that is unanimous. Thank you. I'd like to have a motion for approval of the minutes from August 9, 2026 workshop and the Caucus and County Council meeting of April 13, 2026.
Make that motion.
Councilman Lawson made the motion. Do we have a second on those minutes?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. All in favor, by show of hands, to approve those two sets of minutes. Thank you. All right. We do have two people signed up for public comment. The first is Jim Lawton.
We need the administrator's report.
Oh, yes. How could I forget? I'm sorry. I apologize. Just we have a long agenda, and I was getting ahead of myself. All right. We do have an administrator's report. Thank you, Councilman Passman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We do not have any recognitions this evening, but I do have two updates for you all. One is on the Transportation Advisory Committee, North of Broad meeting. They met this past Wednesday evening at Burton Wells Recreation Center. At this stage of the process, the committee has met with each municipality and several community stakeholders to receive input on potential project recommendations. Following the meeting, committee members submitted their top priority projects to staff, which were then consolidated into an overall project list and used as the basis for discussion. During the meeting, the committee worked through a preliminary framework for allocating projects and funding across the three priority categories that were designated by council. The committee has made significant progress and is now working to finalize its recommendations at its next and final meeting, scheduled for May 6th from 1 to 3 p.m., and that will be in council chambers. They do remain on schedule to present a final recommendation to County Council on May 11th as originally scheduled. Next, this past Wednesday morning, on April 28th, the county is made aware of a mold issue in the examination building at the coroner's office. Facilities Department responded quickly through an emergency purchase process. It was able to have a contractor mobilized immediately, with work beginning the following day. The contractor is working expeditiously to complete remediation, construction, and HVAC replacement to improve humidity control, which appears to be a contributing factor in this case. The project is expected to take approximately 5 to 6 weeks at an estimated cost of $350,000, which includes $150,000 for remediation and $200,000 for construction and HVAC improvements. Coroner operations are continuing through coordination with MUSC, use of the disaster recovery mobile cooler, and 24/7 remote monitoring supported by facilities. So we'll be moving forward with emergency procurement to procure those services to make the remediation to the coroner's building. So I want to make you all aware of that. And
Any questions regarding his report? Yes, sir.
The only thing I want to talk about, a couple of us, I think 5 of us last week had a meeting in Beaufort, and the millage came up, a question about millage. We saw that the town of Hilton Head reduced their millage rate. This council has been talking about doing the same. I don't know where we are with that process, but whether we reduce the millage, which will be consistent with saving money tax-wise like Hilton Head did, or if we keep it neutral, I'd like this council to make sure everybody knows what keeping it neutral means. That means their tax will go up, but if you can comment on that.
so millage neutral means that on your tax bill, you won't have any additional increase to millage, which is on your property, either real or personal property. Having said that, the value of a mill increases over the year, and typically every year it goes up some. So if you stay millage neutral, the county will still collect additional revenue based on growth, either in new construction or assessed values. So there will be an increase in revenue to the county, although the millage does not increase.
Understand, and again, I bring that up because of what TAC is doing. I think TAC's doing a great job on going through the projects that may end up on the ballot. My concern is I just want to make sure everybody that lives here understands that if we remain neutral with the millage, they're going to pay more for that as well. Is that fair assessment?
That's fair. It depends on each individual's circumstances with assessed values and so forth. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
I had a specific question about the coroner's office. So they are utilizing facilities at
MUSC, and they're using the emergency cooler for disaster recovery.
Okay.
So we work closely. I know facility staff has worked closely with the coroner to maintain operations.
Will HVAC system be replaced, or is that still?
I don't know that we know. I'll defer to Jared if he has any more information on that. I think it will be replaced. So that's part of the $350,000. So yeah, I think that helped, that created the circumstance where the
Or
the mold and moisture.
came in. Councilman Bartholomew?
Are any of those repairs covered by our insurance policy?
I don't believe so. We'll look at that, but I don't think so.
I'll
We'll
claim maybe.
at least look.
Thanks.
We'll double check.
We just redo that? Not just.
No, it's been what, 2015 or 16?
Corner has, I think
That
it's been a
building was
while.
renovated. It's been a while. Not the examination room.
This is the
Okay.
examination room, right?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Millage neutral. If you live in a house, you have done nothing from last year to this year, there will be no change in your taxes.
Correct.
The only change that you will pay for if you put an addition on, sold your house and moved to a new one. So millage neutral for the vast majority of people who live in Beaufort County that have a home that exists, they're not going to pay any more in taxes.
Correct.
And let me just finish up and say, the reason it goes up is the fact that if someone sells the house and they buy it, there's a new purchase price.
Yes.
That goes up. So again, if someone that owns a house existing right now and their appraisal doesn't go up and their millage stays the same, they're going to pay the exact same taxes they paid previously. And then whenever there's new commercial items built or new homes built, that adds to then the value of the mill, because there's more money coming in over across the whole county that then raises that mill. So the mill stays the same. You own a home, appraisal's still the same, you're just going to pay the same taxes you were previously, so there's not a tax increase.
But if
You're
it's
not
a
gonna pay more
newly
taxes.
constructed home, that would be additional revenue to the county. Newly
That's a different
constructed.
ballgame, yeah. Listen, I appreciate the education. Thank you.
Good information. Anything else?
Quickly.
That's all I have.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Glover?
Because most of the growth from last year would probably come from new construction.
Probably most of it. That's probably fair to
And
say.
so when does that start? New construction, if I built a house, does it start January the 1st for the next year, or does it start somewhere in October or whatever and stuff?
It's a good
You
question.
sure don't worry
I
about
believe
it?
it's occupancy.
I think it, and I think Mr. Cunningham's,
because
I think it's when you're
once James
occupied.
bills come out.
It's when you occupy the home. That's when you would start to be,
That's
assess the millage, yes.
against the new
Builder
year,
would be
okay.
paying the taxes prior to that
pays-
until you
Right.
take over.
Yeah, if you're paying taxes on a lot, the land itself.
Right.
Until you get your
An unimproved,
occupancy.
right, an unimproved property. And then it would go up with the improvements that were made to the property.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So now we can do public comment, and we only have two people that signed up. Jim Lawton, I'd like to remind the speakers that they're permitted no more than 3 minutes to complete their comments. Everyone speaking before council will be required to do so in a civil manner. Council will not tolerate personal attacks on individual council members, county staff, or any person or group. Racial slurs and profanity will not be permitted. Council will listen to public comments but not respond. Go ahead, Mr. Lawton.
Hello, my name is Jim Lawton, and I live at 52 Oyster Street in the Alljoy community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in a public setting. I would respectfully like to ask that other boards that's under the county council also be scheduled south of the Broad, especially when business relates to us south of the Broad. It's very important. It's been brought to light that there was a closed-door meeting recently regarding the property at 34 Ulmer. Can you explain why the Zoning Board of Appeals went into executive session on this property without the oversight of adjacent landowners and residents living downstream of this property? What proof does the county have that this proposed project will not negatively impact Bailey Memorial Park and the Alljoy community south of it? Given the land in question is more than half wetland and previous owners tried multiple times to develop it but was turned down by that board, how does this project get the green light now? You understand the consequences of such actions. I want to turn to number 2 Croker Street, also in Alljoy. I'd like to first read the zoning language for T3 Edge. Is intended to reinforce established neighborhoods, to maintain neighborhood stability, and provide transition between walkable neighborhood and natural preserves and waterways. The T3 Edge zone implements the comprehensive plan goals of preserving the rural residential character of Beaufort County. Has there been any variances approved by the board on this property? I believe it is zone T3HN, which is a little bit more dense than T3 Edge. My question is, how does anyone get away with a 3-story structure this close to the bluff with essentially no river buffer or foliage? And whatever river buffer that was landfill, wasn't a natural edge. Given what I see, it appears to be well forward of the SCDES critical line. What's the point of zoning if this kind of buildings are allowed right on the riverside? If we are trying to keep the neighborhood character, that contradicts it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to speak is Ms. Felice Lamarca.
Good evening. I hope you're all well today. You've heard me give this speech before. I have to give it again because we are at first reading with an ordinance to amend Ordinance 2025-20 to allocate funds to build USCB Convocation Center. I respectfully request you do not fund this Convocation Center, not because it's a bad idea, but because this council has been tasked with fixing a lot of problems, and this is not one of them. This may be forward thinking, but it is not necessary today. Other things are that the $9.5 million can help. This council has been forward thinking, and I hope you continue on that path. Your legacy, as Mr. McShane so aptly told you the last time we met, was to protect green space and all the money that you have approved to go towards taking land out of development and giving it back to the people of this county. We hear that and we appreciate that. This Convocation Center may be a great thing in the future, but right now you're talking about more development. And I will end with the fact, some of you know I was an educator in a small private university myself. Fundraising is paramount to a university or a college making it. So if the state of South Carolina isn't going to do their part in taking care of this school and giving it the advantages others have, they need to do fundraising and get it privately. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends our public comment period. Did we have anyone sign up late? No, we're good. Okay. All right, we're at number 8 on our agenda, and we have the county treasurer, Miss Maria Walls, is going to present FY 2027 budget proposal as an elected official.
Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I haven't seen some of you in quite some time, and I'm glad to see you all.
Frozen,
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. I swear to God I didn't do that.
Don't start yet.
Okay, I will wait.
It froze when Miss Lamarca was up there.
It's frozen too, isn't it?
Felice, you did it again.
See, we could use
What'd
that
you do,
funding from
Felice?
USCB for some new equipment. Throwing out ideas here.
Any viewers to think we continued the meeting when they couldn't see it. But may I, in the meantime, may I share a comment with you on your discussion about the millages? Or would you rather wait till the video's on?
I'd love to hear it. Oh,
I
sorry.
I think we should wait till the video's on.
Okay, no problem.
There we go. I saw movement.
Yay.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
I was just waiting to see the slide on the screen, but I don't need that to get started. So thank you again for having me here this evening. I know we had some technical difficulties that have been addressed. So tonight, my presentation is not just about a budget. It's about the context surrounding it, the impact on the Treasurer's Office, and the responsibility we all share to make informed decisions. Because this is no longer just about a policy, and it is no longer just about a budget. It is about how decisions are being made, how information is being presented, and the impact those decisions have had on our employees, our operations, and our taxpayers. For anyone watching who doesn't know me, I have served in the Treasurer's Office for 15 years and the elected treasurer for 11. I'm a certified public accountant, and I'm a senior human resources professional. I have spent my career building and leading high-performing teams focused on service and accountability. My responsibility as treasurer is to manage my office within the confines of the budget you allot, and to ensure that the work of the office is carried out effectively. That includes managing personnel, setting compensation within that budget, and making operational decisions necessary to fulfill our duties. Since last year, you all know there has been a great deal of discussion surrounding my office, particularly related to remote work, compensation, and ongoing litigation. Much of that discussion has created confusion, both for my staff and the taxpayers. During a court hearing last week, both the county administrator and the director for human resources testified that the rules and guidelines they follow for personnel decisions, including compensation, come from the county's personnel handbook. They further testified that they do not have the authority to enforce those policies on the treasurer's office, and that the authority to enforce them solely rests within my purview. We now have a situation where a policy was presented to you one way and is now being described in another. Given this testimony, it raises a very real question that I hope you ask yourselves. What exactly is the county arguing here? I want to be very clear about what this testimony means, that the framework being relied upon from the personnel handbook is what they were basing their presentations on. But they have now acknowledged that they do not have the authority to enforce that handbook on my office. So for months, a telecommuting policy was advanced to you and discussed publicly as something that would directly affect my employees, that they would be given 60 to 90 days notice. There was no further communication, no clarity, and no acknowledgement of the limits of authority that have now been stated under oath. These are proven employees. If you know me at all, you know how passionate I am about my people, with many years of documented evaluations and successes, and who have consistently delivered for this county. Several of them are military spouses who did not choose to leave Beaufort County. We say we're a place that supports the military families, but those same families and others were left in a position of unnecessary fear that their jobs were at risk based on a policy that is now being described very differently than it was presented. This litigation began over a directive to provide approximately $73,000 in compensation across 25 employees within my approved budget, based on documented performance and necessary to retain a valuable and high-achieving team. Those adjustments were refused, as well as others repeatedly, for years, as recently as last month. My team has gone years without these meaningful salary adjustments. The total impact is not just a number. It represents real people and real families and real consequences. Meanwhile, the county has spent nearly $700,000 in legal fees related to this matter, and it isn't even close to concluding. By comparison, my office's legal fees for this litigation are a fraction of that for the exact same litigation. Approximately $1 for every 10 you are spending. So in simple terms, nearly $700,000 in taxpayer dollars have been spent fighting $73,000 in earned compensation that was already within an approved budget, while now acknowledging that the very policies the county claims to be filing, they don't have the authority to enforce and never did. It has affected real people, real operations, and real taxpayer dollars. At the same time, my office has been forced to handle a major software implementation for a product that is still not complete and has had to process another backlog of interest owed to taxpayers, while managing new vendor transitions, serving significantly more customers, and handling an increased volume with continued accuracy. My team has absorbed all of that for years, and they're at their limit. The budget I've requested reflects my continued focus to operate my office responsibly, to support my staff, and to serve the taxpayers of this county. It is reasonable, justified, and aligned with the needs of the Treasurer's Office. Furthermore, it is data-driven, as you'll see attached to the agenda packet, supported by existing workload, supported by vendor recommendations, and supported by sustained performance. I ask for your approval so operations can continue without disruption. But tonight I respectfully ask one more thing of council. What I've described tonight reflects a disconnect in how information is being communicated and how decisions are being informed. As a governing body, your ability to make sound decisions depends on you having a clear and complete understanding of what is happening within your organization. I would ask that there be a renewed level of engagement and oversight in that process so that decisions of this magnitude are made with full visibility and clarity. I'm not here to debate this. I've provided the facts, and I will leave it with you to consider. At some point, this must stop being about vague, unacknowledged internal process and start being about accountability to the employees, to the operations of this county, and to the taxpayers who are funding it all. At the end of the day, you are responsible for both the decisions made and the consequences that follow. I hope the decisions reflect that. Thank you.
Okay, open it up for any questions about the submittals that the treasurer gave us in our packet regarding her budget. I would warn council not to get into legal questions that may come up at this point in time. And
I certainly encourage you to read the transcripts from everything I've just shared.
So are there any questions regarding her budget requests for the upcoming year? Yes, sir.
The staffing report that you have in here, what's your anticipated need? I see a 0.1 and a 0.75.
So that is what the vendor utilized and suggested, and in the interest of transparency, I was not going to alter that number, but I have submitted, it is included in the number that you have attached to this agenda, but it did follow the process requested by the budget director to submit the individual roles that we're requesting. They would include a data integration specialist type of role, so a individual that is going to have the expertise necessary to help us support this software transition. It also includes a personnel for the front line in Beaufort. We do not have any more seats in Bluffton, or I would love to actually add someone there. So we are needing more assistance because this, as the letter denotes, testing and transitioning a major software that is responsible for every dollar pretty much that you're talking about on council, we want to make sure it's right, and testing is a large commitment.
Yes, sir.
And he may be asking this, so the Hilton Head location, are there plans, if you increase your workforce, are there plans to restaff that location, the Hilton Head one?
We do not have plans to staff that location at this time. And like I've communicated to Councilman Reitz on multiple occasions, I understand that you, and not just Councilman Reitz, but other representatives from Hilton Head Island are going to get questions from constituents, and I'm happy for them to be directed to me. That is not a council decision, it's a treasurer decision. We're not the only office has not reopened. Historically, it is the lowest volume office. And when I say the lowest volume, I mean 40 to 50 payments a day, compared to 700 a day. And it is difficult to justify, and it's not to minimize the convenience and the desire of our shared constituents. It is difficult to justify the expenditure of employees, which would need to be 2, to be in that office. And furthermore, it is nearly impossible, it was even before COVID, to hire for that office and maintain those employees. They are doing, it was suggested to actually pay them a higher salary because they worked in the Hilton Head office with that commute and the time involved. I can't justify paying an employee more than their counterparts who are handling 700 times the volume.
Can I just throw something in on that?
Well, I think Ms. Tabernick had her hand raised, and then you can.
I won't forget the subject, don't worry.
I just wanted to point out that literally the distance from where I live to Myrtle Park and from that office to Myrtle Park is about the same. So it's not any closer for me.
I will take your word for it. I've never looked. But I can understand wanting things in your backyard, but I also have to manage the budget I've been given and where the growth in the volume is. And it is
I
not
support
there.
that decision on your basis.
Councilman Reese, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, please, thank you.
Okay.
I think I have a few, but go back to the package that you gave us. Thank you very much. It was well written. I started reading, I had some questions, then they were answered throughout it. Great job, I appreciate it. 2, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I meet with a lot of people for many reasons, and I get comments every now and then about the work that your office does, your team does, and I have to commend you for that. 3, to go back with what Councilman Bartholomew said, think about this. Hilton Head may be the lowest performer or average.
Not lowest performer, just the lowest volume.
Okay. Think about this. We're the oldest there, right? And why do we want to have older people crossing the bridge? I'm older. I'm saying I'm the same way. Why do we want them crossing the bridge more than they have to? And 2, I've been adding in my discussion, there's an awful lot of retirees on Hilton Head that are senior accountants, treasurers. Would you consider thinking about it in your spare time? Not hiring somebody to have to pay him a huge dollar. Hire somebody on Hilton Head that lives there that is retired, that is a true expert in what you do, what you need, and maybe starting them a couple days a week just to give us old folks a little bit of break from going over the bridge. That's,
Thank you. Thank you for the suggestions. Certainly, I'll go, I always have my team with me and we'll discuss it. I have to tell you that in no way am I saying this as touting ourselves. We've evaluated that before, and we use a great deal of technology, and I have very high expectations of my staff. And unfortunately, we find that the pace we keep is not quite aligned with one of retirement. But I am happy to discuss it further.
Listen, I hope you challenge us on that one, because I think we get some
Councilman
great
Reese,
performers.
I think we've covered it. If you want to have another conversation offline, whether we
Absolutely, happy to
Yeah,
talk to
I
you about
will.
it anytime.
But
Any other
listen,
questions?
Any other questions
I think-
regarding her budget?
I promise you, I'm going to yield back my time in a half a second.
Okay.
Give me a second. Again, I want to thank you. I'm not sure why this is rushed when this is that important, but fair enough. I'll yield back my time now.
We're not in Congress, but thank you for saying that. All right, Councilman Brown.
You mentioned software not completed. Didn't the treasurer just get all new software?
So I've been before you previously, and you are remembering correctly. It was selected. We have very outdated software. Something did need to be done. It was the selection and the handling of that. It's a county contract. It is not a treasurer's office contract. And I have already spoken to you and before you at length about my disagreement on the handling and the inefficiency of that process. We are dealing with a product that you all voted to engage in a contract with. Actually, I believe it was you and Councilman Bartholomew who maybe did not vote for that contract. But you're paying millions of dollars for a product that's not developed. It doesn't exist yet. You're welcome.
Is anyone else on council? Yes, sir. Councilman
Yeah,
Cunningham?
2 questions. One, I was going to ask part of what she asked. So is the tools you need in that software ready to go yet?
No. And I shared that with you
Yeah.
the last time I spoke,
I just
and
wanted to give you the opportunity to make that clear.
we learned a couple weeks ago, actually, that another element, the tax sale aspect and delinquency aspect of the software, is not built either.
And then my last question is, this requested budget that you have here, does it fulfill all the needs that you need in your department to continue to be successful?
I want to be very clear on what you're asking me. I do understand what you're asking me. What I have attached, since there is a tendency to alter what I've submitted in the past, I'm not saying it will happen now, but I want to be clear. What I have submitted to you and what is attached to your agenda packet, absolutely yes.
2.484171.3.
Shouldn't look at it upside down, now should I? Our fiscal year 2027 request is 2.901 million. Yes?
Oh, you're right,
Percent
yes. I
increase
have
is
both of
it?
them on here.
Okay,
Yeah,
don't give
what
me a
percent
panic now.
increase?
I'm sorry, yes?
What percent increase is that over this current fiscal year?
That is,
that
I don't have the percentage, but if someone would wish to calculate it, the difference is $336,000. The entirety of that is personnel. There is no other line item that is increased that I'm asking for an increase for.
Last questions? Have any more questions? All right. We appreciate you taking the time to make your presentation today
Thank you.
and answering our questions. All right. We are down to number 10. Yes, ma'am.
2.9.
May I comment about the millage? You said to wait until we were back on.
Oh,
Your
sure.
millage.
Please.
Because that was asked. This is more anecdotal. It's not telling you what to do. I would hope that we can lower taxes for our citizens. But as the team that handles on average 600 calls a day, I want to just emphasize something. Okay. You can keep the millage rate the same and customers' taxes go up. You can even lower the millage and customers' taxes go up. And here's why. Because you all are communicating in a language that is just Beaufort County. But on our end and on our citizens' end, they are dealing with multiple agencies on that tax bill. And so I just ask that while it would be a tax decrease for Beaufort County, our citizens may not actually see that on their bottom line because there are other agencies that don't report to you, the towns and the other public service districts and whatever. And so I just ask, because my team will get that call to say, we were supposed to have a tax decrease and it stayed the same or it went up, to be mindful of how we're presenting things, because most of the time in my 15 years when council has lowered taxes by means of lowering the millage rate, our taxpayers are still not seeing a tax decrease on their bottom line bill, and it does cause some aggravating phone calls.
Can I follow up with one
Thank
question?
you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
One question follow-up?
Yes, sir.
Think about what Hilton Head just did, right, about a month ago. They lowered their millage. That's strictly municipality. That's just the folks that live on Hilton Head. That has nothing to do with unincorporated.
Yes, and if you have, I'm so sorry, and I do need to make another comment. I haven't looked today, but I'm going to bet I'm right. The majority of your growth is actually not from new construction, your added value. It's going to be from property transfers, because we are having property transfers in a far greater number than we are new homes being built. And so there are so many factors to what you've just said. The town of Hilton Head could lower their millage, and if that taxpayer transferred their property, they may end up seeing a tax increase despite a lower millage. We as a collective, I don't mean council, but we as a collective need to remember that there's the tax bill and taxation is a multifaceted process and document.
Let me just throw this at you then. Why don't you offer a workshop with council so we can understand? I'd like to understand a little better all these intricate moving parts.
I would be happy to do that. I've let the vice chair know I'm happy to speak.
She speaks often about.
Well, listen,
I
include
think he
me.
means from me to you, which is not often.
Please do. Let's consider that, okay?
Okay, we'll consider that. Thank you for the
Thank you.
suggestion.
If I receive an invitation, I will arrive.
Yeah.
I want to say one other thing, Ms. Walls. When the tax bills went out this year with the conundrum of what we pay, so I did answer questions from people. It really came down to, they didn't look at their bottom line. They looked at, why are we giving money to this? Why are we giving money to this?
Yes.
And that's for council to explain, because we approved the budget. So we all need to be cognizant of what the people actually called to complain about. I mean, yes, they said, my tax bill went down $2. They didn't care. They looked at, you're funding this, 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 and this.
Correct. And so any call you got, we got first.
I know.
And on top of that, what'd you say?
You gave them our phone number?
No, you know what's funny? I only gave them hers because she asked.
I offered to take the calls. I had no problem with it.
I am always going to be overly cautious about any changes on the tax bill because we're sending out 400,000. And I only have so many employees. And if something is taken the wrong way or misunderstood or becomes an issue, I have to be able to handle that volume. So the freak out didn't happen. And
I appreciated people would call me and they'd say, well, the treasurer's office has said I could call you. And I'm like, she's absolutely right. I'm
Yes,
happy to take
yes.
the call. Because we were overburdening your office with those
And
kinds of calls.
it was not the overwhelming response that we were expecting, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I am glad those citizens voiced their opinions.
I'm happy to own it.
And it really helped, I think, people to understand transparency on our bills so that they knew where their money was going.
100%.
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
All right. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being here today. All right. Next is our approval.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Before we go, and I heard in the conversation, no, not you, Ms. Walls, you go ahead. Yeah, do your thing.
Okay, you can leave.
One of the things that, and I agree that there should be a workshop on the treasurer.
Okay,
and the
well, what I'd
collection
like to
accelerator.
challenge the council to do is give a list of questions you want addressed at the
No.
workshop. Yeah.
I believe in the workshop, and I think
Not just open-ended.
no, I think it's important to have the treasurer and the auditor and the assessor a part of that workshop, because
Okay.
right now, I mean, the treasurer just collect the money. The most important thing is the assessor assessing those property, and then the auditor adding what legal matter needs to be done to
Okay.
it and stuff. So I think those three parts need to be in there. At the same time, if you do it, I would ask that all the candidates after July, when you know they're coming on, to be a part of that workshop too. They need to understand the dynamics
After
of it.
November elections, you mean?
After the primary.
After the primary? Okay.
Or you may want to do it after the election, then they know for
All right, we'll
sure,
put-
but,
all right.
you know, at least after the primary and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
It
We'll take
literally
that.
could be part of our orientation in January.
And well, the orientations probably start in December, I think.
Yeah.
So, okay, good suggestions. So not just a workshop with the treasurer, all three of them, an education workshop.
Yes.
Or I'll send out something follow up with some.
I appreciate that. That's
Okay.
excellent. Thank you.
Great. Perfect. All right, moving down to number 10, approval of the consent agenda. We had 3 items on it. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as
I'll
listed.
second that.
And a second by Ms. Brown. All in favor of approving the consent agenda? Mr. Dawson? Yep, and that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, number 11A, first agenda item is a contract to Nick's Construction for construction of the Buckwalter Recreation Athletic Complex expansion project for quite a few dollars there, isn't it? 8 million. I'll get my glasses on. $8,316,000. The vote at Public Facilities was on April 20th, 10-0. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
A motion by Logan Cunningham and a second by Ms. Tabernack. And now it's open for any discussion? No discussion?
Well, we
Okay.
did have some discussion at committee meeting about this. I guess I'll defer to Jared if we are good to go with that. I'm going to pull them up if we can. So the discussion at committee was, this is only half the project at the $8.3 million. We know we can do the full project and save about 5 to 6 years of delay, including saving on the permits, if we fully fund it, which is around $15 million. So the conversation we were having is trying to fully fund this project and using general funds to cover the rest of the costs that won't be paid for in the impact fees. So I believe you, and there's Pinky coming up right now.
Yeah, so the way this project was bid is the entirety of the project is for 4 additional soccer fields and multi-use fields, 2 adjacent to the back 2 soccer fields with additional parking, and then 2 near the front entrance. We broke it into phasing because we know we didn't have enough in impact funds for the entirety of what we anticipated the cost to come back as. And the cost came back for phase 1, which included the backfields and the site grading for the front 2 fields, not the actual completion of those fields. And the entirety of the cost came back with the $8 million that we're talking about. The full cost we did as an alternate, just so we'd have a price, and if we wanted to add other funding sources, that we could do so, and that cost came in about $12.4 million. When you put on what we separated, also the lights, there's specialty lights that are associated, which is the next item, I believe, that are ball field lights specific to athletic fields. So we separated that with a Sourcewell direct contract. And when you put all that together, you get to the total, I believe it's 14.6. I think that's the number that we were working through. So what we have available via impact fees is around 9.5. So we have enough to award the project in the first phase and lights without any additional funds. If we want to do the extra, then that would be if you do it now, we'd have to approve it contingent upon that other source being reappropriated and ordinance amendment for that appropriation. Or if you moved it forward now and approved it as is, then the secondary action would come back with a change order or a contract amendment to the original contract. Hopefully that.
Question? Yes.
So I have a comment. Mr. Cunningham's been working on this longer than I've been on council. This is 3.5 years. I've been with him on this. South of the Broad needs these improvements, and so I applaud moving this forward. and I would like us to do it in one fell sweep, not do it 18 months and come back and disrupt everything for another 18 months. That's disruptive to the community.
I believe by the breakdown we had in the workshop, we'll save somewhere between 1.8 to 2.2 million with the cost increase on top of 5 years 5 years to finish this one, plus another 5 years. So it'd be a 10-year project if we don't do this all at once. Or we could
Is
just.
staff recommending for funding, additional funding?
Terry had found treasure chest under the Broad River.
Diving in the Broad River. So currently, we have a budget ordinance that's coming to you later, amendment ordinance for fiscal year 26 budget to pull funds from fund balance. We also have another item on the agenda that we don't know which way is going. So depending on how things turn out today, we have a draft ready to bring to you if you do decide to fund it from fund balance. The other fund, whether it be from the other items listed on the agenda today or all of it coming from general fund balance.
So I don't know, a question for, yes, sir.
No, if I could
Councilman Lawson.
just say that the $9 million, as Jared just said, is coming from impact fees, and that is actually what's collected whenever a home was built in Bluffton. So that money is coming back for this. These fields, again, you look at that budget and say, wow, that's expensive, but these fields will be all-purpose turf, which means they can be used year-round, evening, morning, afternoon, whenever that is, so that way the use of those fields will be maximized as opposed to real grass fields that you have to let rest and come back and issues and problems. So again, this is why, again, this is so important for Bluffton. And we've looked for this and looked for other property and tried to figure out ways to do this, because then Bluffton is in dire need of more fields.
Councilman Glover, do you have a question?
Yes, Madam
Comment?
Chairman. The project itself, as on the amendment, the motion that's on the floor is fully funded right now, as far as I'm concerned, because of the impact fees. You have the funds there in the impact fees. You got to spend those money. So I'm going to support the motion that's on the floor. Any additional motion I cannot support because it's coming out of fund balance, and that's a great amount of money. Now, my question, the turf, and if that's the direction this council is going into, that's one thing. What about the maintenance of that turf? Are we factoring that in there? Because if it costs this now and you got to replace it or you got to maintain it, that's going to be expensive as well. So, maintaining turf, artificial turf, I don't think you can put it down today and you don't have to look at it again. You got to maintain it. I don't know the factor.
Yeah.
Have you factored that in also as far as the operation, because that will come on the operational side, which means that that's probably going to go up, but just to maintain this.
Yeah, so Parks and Rec, they would incorporate that into their operating budget. This won't come online for 2 years, so it won't be in this upcoming operating budget. It'll be the next operating budget that'll be anticipated. The level of maintenance initially is low. The real maintenance is the once it's reached its life cycle and you have to replace it.
What is that? What is the life cycle?
I'm not 100% sure. Parks and Recs would be better to answer that.
Appreciate that answer. Yeah. Yes, thank you,
Other
sir.
comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
So over time, which one's more cost efficient, the turf or sod, which you have to replace all the time because the little people are out there in the mud and everything else?
Yeah, right now what we have is just grass, not even sod, and so the fields it's pretty low right there, and they get boggy and you can't use them, or it gets dry like it is now, and it's a dust bowl. And so this gives us more time for use of the fields. We're spending money to make fields. We want to be able to use them as much as possible, and that's what this provides for.
If it is okay at this time, I'd like to make an amendment if that's possible. Sure. Yep.
The administration, if they had any recommendations about, both of y'all. about
Recommendations concerning the award of the.
Not the award so much as, but the funding to do the option at the same time.
I'll invite Pinky to come up and speak to that.
So, sorry, I was helping him out by pulling up the cost bid, but
over time, you're looking at, if you piecemeal it by doing just what he presented today, in 4 years, your cost will go up to $6.6 million from 5.7 for the
Okay.
alternate. So
okay.
that you're adding costs and, as to his point, was time on the project. Do we currently have the funding? Yes, we do. To award the full with the alternate, we would just amend the amendment that we're already bringing to you now.
Okay, now back to you, Councilman Cunningham.
Yeah, I would like to make an amendment to change the value from the 8.316 to change the value to 12.4 million to fully fund this project, contingent on the approval of funding.
Second by Councilman Lawson. Any discussion of the amendment?
Chairman, I already spoke against this motion as amended. I think we're coming out of the fund balance. We're talking about doing a project like this here when you have other recreational projects across this county that you would not fund, but you would fund this right here. I find that kind of disheartening and distasteful at this time.
Any other comments regarding the amendment? Okay, we need,
Can I make a
Yes.
comment? So the 12.4 isn't really the number that we need to go with. So it's the combination, and really these go together. There's no sense of this agenda item without the next one, without the lights. So collectively, the numbers for the phase one is $8.9 million. For phase two, it's $5.7 million. And I'll get the exact number in just a second. Pinky's adding that exact number up. So the combination of those two is the full cost of the project, the lights, and the contingencies.
So it's 14.6 million, and that includes the lighting.
Would I have to make that amendment for the budget on the lighting side when it gets to that point then?
Yeah, so if you want to, you could take both of these items together, because what you really are trying to do is fund the entirety of the project. And so the full value of the combined project cost is $14,636,380.
would you like to withdraw
Yes,
your
I'll
amendment?
withdraw my amendment, and then I'm sure he'll withdraw his second.
Yes, I'll withdraw the second.
And then I would make the motion to take A and B together and change, and then make an amendment. Well, let me get a second to take them
Make
together.
that second.
Okay,
Then approve that to take them together.
we have a motion and a second to amend it to 14.6.
Yeah, first combine them.
To amend A and B
Just to combine them, but
into
not
one
the,
item.
but not the dollar amount?
Correct, then I will change the dollar amount afterwards.
Just to combine A and B. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about combining those two items together?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Councilman Dawson?
I take the position that Councilman Glover shared with the council just a moment ago. This first phase that we're working with, that's being requested, the 8.3 million, a portion of that is being supplemented by impact fees. And so I take the position that the second phase of this should also involve us using some impact fees, where we won't have to withdraw all of that out of the general funds. And so I'm not going to support the motion as drafted.
Okay, the motion on the floor now is to combine A and B. We withdrew the previous motion, previous amendment. So we're voting on combining A and B as they stand now written, that, just as they're written in the agenda. So I want everyone to understand what they're voting on. Any other discussion regarding combining items A and B? No? Okay. We'll have a roll call vote then for combining those two.
And the total value being $14,636,000.
No, we're not adding the dollar amount.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
That's what she said,
apologize.
A and
Doing A
B.
and B.
We're just voting to combine them.
It's just the current value.
Is there anyone who objects to combining items A and B? No, the dollar amount remains the same unless there's an amendment to that.
Dawson objects.
He objects.
Who is?
Mr. Dawson.
Okay, we have one objection, all right, to combining A and B. All right, so now we have A and B combined Do we have any other motions regarding the combination?
Logan, if I may interject just for a moment, would it be cleaner to vote on this as is before us and then work on the amendment? Because I think that's what we talked about in the public facilities, is to have them come forward with a budget amendment collectively.
That's in this agenda.
That's in the agenda.
Oh, it is, I'm
That's already
sorry, I
in this
missed that
agenda.
one.
We had bond counsel prepare a draft for this particular item.
We have a draft prepared, which we discussed in the workshop, that if this does get approved, that I would have the amendment for the adjustments that we're already currently making for other projects, to do it in one assessment.
That's a question while Mr. Hulbert's wondering. Much, do we have any impact fees right now, Ms. Harriet?
28.
South of the Broad.
South of the Broad.
It's a little over 9.4 million.
Okay, so we're gonna empty that account, and that doesn't mean we stop collecting,
Yep.
but we are using all of the impact fees we have south of the Broad.
Right, and this is a part of the old impact fee ordinance prior to 2023. Checks my impact fee guy. So this balance has been carried forward, and it's specifically for this project. We were talking about this in 22 when I was here.
Which legally we have to spend in a certain amount of time.
Yeah, you have to spend the old impact fees down first. Yeah.
Sure you can.
So just talk about impact fees for a second. It is never intended when you do an impact fee study that impact fees be the sole source for any project. And the reason why is you're only charging that fee on new homes that are being built. So when you have the projects, the idea of impact fees is you are offsetting the impact of those new developments. It is never intended that just the people building new homes would fund all new projects that were listed. So the proportional share is written into the study when you do it. And the problem that we've had with this particular project is costs for these projects escalate much faster than we collect impact fees, because it's never meant to be the sole source of money. We have been working on this. These projects have been on the impact fee list for longer than 10 years. So the idea that we could collect impact fees to pay for phase 2, it'll never happen that way, because the cost escalations always outstrip the collections. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, so we've combined these two items.
We did that. Mr. Dawson voted no.
What would be
And
the
we had
dollar
one
amount
objection.
to fully fund the project?
$14,636,380.
I'd like to make a motion if possible.
Okay, so you don't want to wait till,
I'd like, but it has to be adjusted here first for the budget to take effect,
okay, all right.
right? So I'd like to make an amendment to the two combined items to fully fund the project at $14,636,300, wow.
$380.
My handwriting's on point. $14,636,380.
Second that.
A second by Councilman Lawson. Any discussion? Everyone understand what we'll be voting on or not? Any questions?
Can I make one more comment, please?
Yes,
When we
ma'am.
fund some items, since we brought up south of the Broad, north of the Broad, like Agnes Major and those, they don't have impact fees literally, correct?
No, so what we have in 23, when we updated it, we've got a north and a south. So presently, we're spending down the collective and then the north and the south.
So when we're doing some things north of the Broad, we're using ARPA funds, we're using other funds. So this is not out of whack to use our impact fees and then other funds.
That's correct. And impact fees, they have to be a specific project that's listed on the capital list inside of the study. So not every project is eligible, but when it is eligible, as Chuck alluded to, sometimes it takes multiple funding sources to.
Madam Chairman,
Hold across the line. Yes, sir? Comment?
I want to make sure I understand you correctly. All the funds is coming out of fund balance, reserve. That's what I'm hearing.
On this?
Not
Yes.
all of it, no.
No, 9.4 would come out of the impact fee fund, and then the remainder of the 14.6 minus the 9.4. So That's 4 point,
Little less.
yeah. That
I'm sorry.
difference, 14.6 minus 9.4, so that's 600.
It's coming out of where?
5.2 million would come from fund balance.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought I said. Okay.
Yeah, we just wanted to correct the statement that not the whole project cost was
No,
coming
no,
from
he said
fund balance.
other funds. So the other funds is
Correct.
the fund balance.
Oh, yeah, yes, I'm
Right, and
sorry.
it's-
I didn't
and
mean
That's basically, when you funded the Agnesy Major project and you funded the St. Helena project, you basically use all of opera funds.
ARPA, yes.
Yes, and I understand that. And I wanted to use more to enlarge that building, but I was told there was no funds. Now you come back and said, we have funds that we can go in fund balance. I find that kind of distasteful, that's all.
Councilman Reach, you had your hand up? No?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, you good? Any other comment? Yes, Brian Holbert.
Councilman Cunningham may wish to consider amending his motion to amend to include allowing the contract to be amended to allow the administrator to execute the contract to complete both phases of the project where all the fields are constructed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we discussed ahead of time in the workshop, so that's why we made sure Nick's Construction was on board ahead of time.
Would you like
I would like to add that to the amendment, yes.
amend your amendment in the, okay?
And the amendment.
All right.
I would like to add one
Wait,
thing, though.
we have an amendment. We have
Oh,
in a
okay.
second. Any discussion about that second amendment? Yes, Councilman Passman.
Is a contingency in the total of the 14?
Yes.
10%.
So this includes the total from Nick's Construction, the total for all 4 lightings, and a 10% contingency on the entirety of those elements.
Okay, all right. So we have this second amendment that we're talking about. Do we need to take a roll call vote, or is there anyone with objection to this? We have 1 objection, 2 objection. All right, got it? Got it, Ms. Brock?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so now, we're good?
The only thing I was going to say was, I made this comment about 8 months ago in a county council meeting. I know people can get upset and want to hate on Bluffton, but it is coming. Most of this is being paid for by impact fees. People say they don't want growth to come, but when growth comes, things do get funded. So I said before, everybody wants to turn away any growth in areas, but then they don't get other things in return that other places are getting. Sometimes it's hard to have both sides. I have to deal with the pressures of traffic and growth in my area, but one of the other things I have to deal with is making sure those people that did move here that are funding this county have a place to have recreation. So that's why I fought for this for 5 years now, 6 years we've been working on this project, and I'm just happy to finally see it get done.
We're done with A and B then. I'm looking to Jared and Pinky and.
You need to vote on the motion as
Yeah,
amended.
correct.
Well, we had 2 objections to it, to the
now we need
motion
to
as
have the-
You have
amended.
to vote on the main motion as amended.
Okay, we'll vote on the main motion as amended twice. It was amended twice. All in favor by show of hands of the main amendment as amended by show of hands, all right? And object, no, we have 2 against the main motion. Councilman Dawson, you're a no? Yes, he's a no. Okay, got it. We're good now? All right, thank you. All right, we are on C. We have several reappointments. We're going to go through these pretty rapidly. C is reappointment of Daniel Anderson to the Construction Adjustments and Appeals Board for a 3rd term of 4 years. This requires, because it's a 3rd term, requires, we only have 10 of us here, so it requires a 10 out of 11 vote. All in favor of Daniel Anderson?
Motion to put it on the floor?
Yes.
So moved?
Second. All right. We have interviewed these people. All in favor of reappointment of Daniel Anderson? And that is unanimous. All right. I need a motion for reappointment of Janet Porter to the Library Board for a 3rd term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030. Do I have a motion? Motion. Mr. Passman? Second. All in favor of reappointment of Janet Porter? That will require a vote of 10. Thank you. Reappointment of Robert Bible, that's Bob Bible, to the Board of Assessment Appeals for a second term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030, and that requires 8 out of 11 votes. Do we have a motion to reappoint him? A motion by Ms. Brown. Do we have a second by Mr. Bartholomew? All in favor for reappointment of Bob Bible? That is unanimous to the Board of Assessment Appeals. Reappointment of Jessica Reitz. Is she related to you?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Of the Keep Beaufort Beautiful Board for a second term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Did you get the second? Okay, thank you. Reappointment of Bruce Klein, that would be Chief Klein, to the Construction Adjustments and Appeals Board for a fourth term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030. That will require a vote of 10 out of 10. All in favor? A motion. We have a second. All in favor by show of hands, and that is unanimous. Appointment of Sarah Miller, District 4, to Keep Beaufort County Beautiful Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030. Do we have a motion? No motion by Ms. Brown. A second?
Second.
And a second by Councilman Cunningham. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Appointment of Hattie Brown, District 1, to the Library Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
By Councilman Passmore, and a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Dawson and his district. All in favor by show of hands, and that's unanimous. Reappointment of Thomas Peth to the Defusky Island Fire District Board for a second term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030.
Make that motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Lawson and a second by Councilman Cunningham. All in favor by show of hands. Thank you. Reappointment of Nancy Wadicki, okay, to the Defusky Island Fire District for a third term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030.
Make that motion.
A motion by Councilman Dawson. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Tabernick. All in favor by show of hands. That's unanimous. Reappointment of Galen Stirrup Camus to the Disability and Special Needs Board for a third term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030, and that will be pending approval by the Governor's Office. Do we have a motion? By Councilman Glover?
So moved, yes.
All right. A second?
Second it.
And a second by David Bartholomew. All in favor? And that's unanimous. All right. Reappointment of Miss Barbara Childs to the Low Country Regional Transportation Authority, that's Palmetto Breeze, for a fifth term of 3 years with an expiration date of April 2029.
So moved.
All right. You have a second?
A second.
A second.
All in favor by show of hands? All right. Reappointment of Henry Chris to the Low Country Regional Transportation Authority, Palmetto Breeze, for a second term of 3 years with an expiration of April 2029. Do I have a motion?
So moved, yep.
All right. We have a motion by Councilman Reese. Do we have a second?
A second.
And a second by Councilman Glover. All in favor by show of hands? All right. Reappointment of Lynn Hoos to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a third term of 3 years with an expiration date of April 2029. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I think I heard Councilman Passmore first, and we had a second.
A second.
All in favor? Okay. Right. Appointment of Chef Houston to the Ladies Island St. Helena Island Fire District Commission for a third term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030, and this is pending approval by the Governor's Office. All in favor? We need a motion, I'm sorry. We
Also
have
move.
a motion by Councilman
Second.
Glover and second by Councilman Bartholomew. All in favor by show of hands of Mr. Houston. All right, appointment of Charles Newton to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term with an expiration date of April 2029. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion
Second
by
that.
David, a second by Councilman Glover. All in favor by show of hands. That is unanimous. Appointment of Bruce Yeager to the Parks and Recreation Board for a fifth term, of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030. Do we?
Make that motion.
Okay. Councilman Lawson. Do we have a second?
A second.
And Councilman Glover. All in favor by show of hands? That is unanimous. Appointment of Rick Krob to the Bluffton Township Fire District. Am I saying that right? Krob. Bluffton Township Fire District Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030.
So moved.
No.
Second that.
Motion by Councilman Cunningham and a second by Councilman Tabernick. All in favor by show of hands. Appointment of Philip Masker to the Parks and Recreation Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councilman Lawson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cunningham. All in favor by show of hands. All right. Appointment of Selena Morello to the Design Review Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Brown made the motion and a second by Councilman Cunningham. All in favor? Show of hands. Ms. Morello, did everyone vote on that one? Okay. All right. Appointment of Caroline Atkins to the Design Review Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030. All right. Thank you, Ms. Brown. A second by Councilman Cunningham. All in favor? Show of hands. Thank you. I know to the public this seems like a lot, but we had a lot that are going to
interviewing these people.
Yes, we're very thankful for these volunteers. Appointment of Elizabeth Epstein to the Design Review Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030. I need a motion. Nominate.
Motion.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Lawson. A second.
Second.
A second by Councilman Passmore. All in favor by show of hands. All right. Appointment of Adam Sanslow, District 8, to the Stormwater Management Utility Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030.
I will motion.
We have a
Second that.
motion by Councilman Brown and a second by Councilman Lawson. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Appointment of D. Simpson, District 4, to the Stormwater Management Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030. I'd like to make that motion.
Well, then I'll second it for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All in favor of Ms. Simpson? All right, and that is unanimous. Reappointment of Paul Manning to the Beaufort County Transportation Committee for a 2nd term of 4 years with an expiration date of April 2030.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Tabernick and Councilman Reitz. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, what district is he in?
7.
Seven.
District 7.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, District 7. All in favor of Mr. Paul Manning for the CTC? Thank you. Appointment of Nick Borgiani. Did I pronounce? I think I said that right, didn't I? Borgiani? Yeah, close enough. Appointment of Nick Borgiani to the Accommodation State 2% Tax Board for a 4-year term with an expiration date of April 2030.
So, well, then I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Ms. Tabernick and second by Mr. Bartholomew. All in favor of Nick for the Accommodation Tax Board. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
That was fun.
Well,
Good job.
Ordinances, yeah. Okay, ordinance for 3rd reading. 2026/08 is an ordinance to amend ordinance 2023/26 to reallocate funds previously appropriated for Defusky Island Ferry embarkation points to Sun City Joint Fire EMS Station, which is referred to as Station 39. The vote at Finance Committee on March 16th was 8-0. The vote at first reading, March 23rd, was 11-0, and the vote at second reading with a public hearing was 10-0.
So moved. Oh, Joe, I knew you were going for it. He can
You want
have
to
it.
duke it out?
He
Who
can
gets
have
the
it.
motion? Okay. Okay, so let's give the motion to Mr. Passmore and the second to Mr. Cunningham. So is there any discussion? Yes, go.
Discussion real quick is just the fact that the ferry embarkment has been funded, and this is money from a fund from 23 And as I said before, this is in, the Station 39 is in Tab's district. She's been very supportive of the Defusky Island Ferry, so again, this money's being moved around to help pay for this fire department currently. But again, Defusky Island and the landing at Melrose, everything has money, and we are all completely funded. Actually, we funded an additional amount here just in the consent agenda for overages on the landing.
Correct. We have $1.5 million from local age tax that funded Melrose and $3.4 million from ARPA.
I just want to point out, the 4 fire chiefs ago, this was brought up that they cannot service all of Sun City adequately should you have a cardiac event. So that's why this fire station was proposed by the Bluffton Township Fire Department. Moving forward. That was in 2021. All right, any other comment on this one? All right, all in favor of this ordinance? All right, thank you. Ordinance 2026/09 is an ordinance to reallocate the funds from the 2025 Series GO Bond for passive parks projects. The vote at Finance Committee on March 16th was 8-0. The vote at first reading March 23rd was 11-0. And the vote at second reading with a public hearing April 13th was, I blocked it out, sorry, X0, 11-0. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. A second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Brown seconds it. I just want the audience to know, these are third readings, so as you could see, they've already gone to committee and 2 readings to the public, so that's why discussion is kind of brief. We've already kind of chewed these up and spit them out. All right.
Real quick, just to say that money is being taken from Bailey's Park. However, money is still there for Bailey's Park, and as Stephanie has told us, the funding for complete Bailey's Park will be coming next year. So again, Bailey's Park is completely funded. We're just moving money forward to be able to finish these 2 other projects sooner as opposed to waiting.
Right, as you'll see in your backup, of the 4.5, 3.2 is remaining with Bailey Memorial, and she also has other funding sources for Bailey Memorial.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, all in favor of this ordinance going forward? All right, thank you. The next one is ordinance 2026/10, an ordinance to reallocate remaining American Rescue Plan Act, AKA ARPA, that we've said 5 times tonight, funds in the amount of $739,108.13 towards existing projects as obligated to the Department of Treasury. So this is a second reading and a public hearing. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Passman. A second?
Second.
Mr. Cunningham makes the second. All right, Ms. Harriet, would you like to talk on this one, please, for the public?
Yes, this is public hearing for the reappropriation of the $700,000 for ARPA that we had presented previously, so I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
So I'm going to open the public hearing. Nobody signed up. Just so you see, I have a blank list. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this ordinance or ask a question? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Anyone from council have a question or a discussion item? All right, all in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. 2026/11 is an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents and provide funding for the purchase of real property located at 641 Sea Island Parkway. And this is a public hearing. The vote at Finance Committee, March 16th, was 8-0, and the vote at first reading on April 13th was 11-0. Can I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Glover. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Passman. Mr. Fralix, would you like to opine on this one? This is a public hearing, so he'll come up and any of the public can,
Yeah, this is a parcel, 1 acre, adjacent to our St. Helena Convenience Center. Our center surrounds this property. It's right next to Sea Island Parkway, frontage on what it allows for if we're able to Gain approval is for improved operations and future expansion opportunities for flow at the center. And the cost is $32,500 for 1 acre.
So this is a public hearing, no one signed up, but is there anyone in the public present that would like to make a comment or ask a question? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council members, question or discussion? All right, seeing none, let's take a vote on this ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Fralix. All in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Okay, 2026/12 is an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to convey 5 parcels of real property, TMS numbers, here's our favorite part, R120-005, 000, 0105, 0000, etc. It's all in the list, to the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust Fund for development of attainable housing in partnership with the Beaufort Memorial Hospital and other matters related thereto. The vote at public facilities was on March 16th, 7-0. The vote at first reading, April 13th, 11-0.
I'd like to make the motion.
Ms. Howard makes the motion. Mr. Cunningham makes the second. Mr. Hicks, oh, you're going to speak? Okay. I know Mr. Hicks is here too.
He is here. I don't want to deprive him of the opportunity to speak with you, so if you have any questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. Just wanted to note that Clerk to Council is currently passing out some documents we received from the attorneys, the closing attorneys involved in this matter, reflecting the amendment from the prior meeting, wherein we clarified that the term, the substantial completion period is going to be 5 years from the date of conveyance, as directed in that amendment.
I'd just like to make a comment, looking forward to this project in my district across from Beaufort Memorial Hospital, so, yeah.
Could you expand for the public a little bit what it is?
This property was property that we bought from TCL, and I'll let Mr. Hicks explain anything else about what the plans are.
The plans are to offer this housing for nursing staff first, as a way to entice nursing staff to stay in Beaufort County, and in particular at Beaufort Memorial. To the extent that we don't fill it up with nursing candidates, it will go then to additional hospital staff, first responders, firemen, and then the military. So we expect that it will be filled with nurses. This is a walkable area to go to the hospital. And it is a great partnership with Beaufort Memorial to try and get medical staff to stay here.
Any other question or discussion?
Yes, you probably said this already. How many units will be provided?
26.
26, okay.
That's the plan as of right now.
Anyone else, question or discussion? All right, thank you. All in favor of the ordinance as read? Raise your hand. See, where am I? Yeah. So an ordinance to amend Beaufort County's ordinance, Chapter 38, Environment, Article 7, Green Space Program, Section 38-196, Method of Program and Procedures of the Beaufort County Code of Ordinances. This is a public hearing, and the vote at Natural Resource, I'm sorry, I have to move up. But on April 6th was 7-0, and the vote at first reading, April 13th, was 11-0. All right?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Passment, and
I'll second.
Ms. Howard, second. All right, this is a public hearing. Mr. Hulbert, you have something to add here for the public's edification?
This is just a amendment to the green space process, which will allow us to expedite the applications from the Green Space Committee going directly to council rather than going via Natural Resources. Of course, council always reserves the right to remand it back to Natural Resources in appropriate instances, but it's to make it towards a quicker process to help the process along.
All right. I did have a motion, correct? I'm lost track. All right, this is a public hearing, so anyone from the public, no one signed up. Anyone from the public wish to talk about this or ask a question? Now would be your time. Okay, thank you. Public hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Halbert. Any discussion items or questions from council?
Just one.
Yes.
We love what's going on with green space. This process of speeding up is not going to cut any corners, correct? Thank you. Perfect.
It's really just going to expedite it a little faster because right now that has to go through committee and so on.
Madam Chairman, I would also note that although it doesn't, it will expedite, council can slow it down.
Any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Beck?
Just a housekeeping matter once you're done with that issue. Just want to put on the record that for item AA under 11, the appointment of Nick Borgine to the ATEX committee, he's filling the hospitality slot. As you know, state law requires that there be 2 for lodging, 2 for hospitality, 1 for cultural, and 2 at large. But his appointment is for the open hospitality slot. So just want to make sure clear on the record.
So we still have 1 open seat, correct? Yes, and we need to fill that seat, ASP. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Halbert. Okay, 2026/14 is an ordinance adding a new section 54-8 to the Beaufort County Code of Ordinances so as to prohibit and make unlawful the discharge of firearms in certain unincorporated areas of the county, to provide the civil penalty pertaining to such violations, and to provide certain exceptions and limitations thereto. This is a public hearing. The vote at Community Services and Public Safety on April 6th was 9-0. The vote at first reading on April 13th was 11-0. I'd like a motion to move forward.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Passman. And a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Glover. Mr. Halbert, anything to add on this? This is a public hearing.
Just a reminder to the council and the public that this is the civil penalty ordinance. The criminal penalty ordinance died at first reading or second reading. It didn't pass. So this is what council voted to put forth, and it will be a civil penalty for the discharge of firearms. And it's also important to note that unlike the criminal penalty, which had the distance of 500 feet from a structure, this does not include that distance.
Question? Yes, go ahead.
I just want to state that the reason that we have this is because of stupidity or someone not following rules or not being safe. I mean, I was 11 years old. My dad made me take a gun safety course before I was allowed to go hunting with him. And it's because people have been unsafe, and especially with the way the area has been growing closer to neighborhoods, that we've had to implement this to give our law enforcement and our solicitor, some teeth whenever there is someone that is being unsafe with the handling and firing of a gun.
Yes, sir, and to include code enforcement.
Yes.
It's very important for people to know. Thank you, Mr. Halbert. This is a public hearing. Would you like to speak on this? Come on up. Come on up. And give your name, please, so it's in the record, and we will have you recorded for posterity.
Hi, my name's Joe Majorano. I just wanted to make it a little more clear. What exactly is being passed? Is it 500 feet, 5 acres? What exactly is this?
Mr. Halbert want to outline it for him. I mean, it's all written here, but he can summarize it for you.
Until the public hearing part's over?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my question. I'm not clear on exactly what the ordinance is.
The provision.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mr. Halbert can opine on it. It is in the backup, but if you would talk, Mr. Halbert. We've been at this, Joe, since August. Yeah, and we've moved all over the place on this, yeah. All right, Mr. Halbert, it's all you.
Yes, when we were considering a criminal penalty wrongful discharge, we initially put in a distance of 1,000 feet. Then it was modified to 500 feet after conversations with the sheriff's office. Then after further discussion with the actual sheriff and the solicitor, several council members and members of the public and members of local police departments, it was decided that it was probably best to go a different path and that is via a civil penalty for the wrongful discharge. And we took out the distance of 500 feet because the distance didn't matter, and we took out the property size of being 25 acres because there was issue with several council members. Well, what if it's 24 acres or something of that nature? So the way this ordinance reads in the civil penalty is that if it's a intentional or negligent discharge that endangers life or property, then it would be a violation, and it would be a civil penalty of a fine. As the vice chair mentioned, it's in the backup material.
It actually starts on page 217. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anybody else from the public? This is a public hearing. All right, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or discussion from council?
Just one.
Yes.
This is meant for safety, and two, it's not taking away rights of any gun owners. Correct? I mean, that's, let's make sure we make that clear.
That's
Fair
absolutely right. This ordinance does not allow for the confiscation of any weapons as when there's a violation. It doesn't address that at all.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Question on council?
Just want to say David worked really hard on this, and thank you for getting that done and taking the bull by the horns, because this was a really split thing on council for months.
Thank you, yeah.
Good job.
And Mr. Bartholomew worked with our state legislators as well to talk about this, so.
He also worked with my constituents.
Yep. All right. All in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Thank you. We're happy to put this one to bed from August. Yay. Okay, ordinance 2026/15 is an ordinance to add a new ordinance, section 54-9, hate intimidation crime, establishing the offense of hate intimidation and establishing a penalty for violations in the Beaufort County Code of Ordinances. This is a public hearing. The vote at community service was April 6th, and it was 9-0. The vote at first reading of this was April 13th, 8, 2, and 1 abstention. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Passman. A second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Glover, a second. And Ms. Main, welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Staff was directed to draft a hate crime ordinance for council's consideration. This ordinance makes it a criminal offense, punishable by up to a $500 fine or a 30 days, up to 30 days in imprisonment, but it could also be both if you commit a state crime or an ordinance offense with the intent to cause fear, harm, injury, or damage to the victim's person or property based on their perceived race, ethnicity, national origin, so on, as listed in the ordinance. Staff is not making a recommendation about this. If you have questions, I can answer them.
This is a public hearing, so anyone from the public wish to make a comment or ask a question? All right, I'll close public hearing. Mr. Cunningham, you're up.
Yeah, you said that you were directed by who to come up with this?
Staff was directed to draft something and present it on March 9th, 2026.
Who directed staff?
From the Community Services Committee.
Like as a vote or from one person?
It was a vote.
How did it get on the agenda to even have the vote?
There was an individual, council, Larry McKellen asked that it be on the.
It's passed from committee.
Oh,
Passed from committee onto county council, hence Monica took over.
And this is second reading, don't forget. It's already been to the first reading council, and it was county council at a meeting that directed the resolution and the ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Lawson.
And I voted against this the last time around, and I'll vote against it again. And people say, well, how can you vote against a hate crime? And again, and you have to realize that this has to be tied to a state crime, as you've said. However, whenever you read this and go through it, you know, if you express a biblical view of marriage, that could be considered a hate crime in this. If you express a biblical view of sexual orientation, that can be considered a hate crime as part of this ordinance if it's attached to a crime. And then, as we talked about in the discussions, if someone's sexual orientation is being a pedophile, if that's their sexual orientation, if you speak out against them, that would be considered a hate crime according to this ordinance. So again, I am someone that's all for free speech, and I just don't have a good gut feeling about this. This just kind of, I look at the flip side of what could possibly happen. But again, the biggest thing is it has to be tied to a state crime for you to be even charged with the underlying hate crime.
And when we met with the sheriff and the solicitor and multiple attorneys, that was brought up. And so that's why we also passed a resolution to send to our delegation to push making this a state level law. Yes, Mr. Hubbard.
Just to be clear, it could be attached to an ordinance violation or a state crime.
So it could be, all right?
Yeah. All right, anything
Chair,
else?
I have
Yes,
one
Mr.
question.
Reeds.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Help me tie this together if we can. April 22nd, there was an article by the Island Packet. A white man was indicted in a cross burning by a federal grand jury through the state here, the state of South Carolina. What are we doing? Do we need, is that a hate crime? Did you read that article?
I don't know if I don't think I've seen that article, but the federal laws are separate from the state laws, and I am almost sure that they have their own hate crime that they can charge someone with, where the state of South Carolina currently does not have a hate crime that you can charge someone with that is statewide, where the federal laws do allow for a federal hate crime charge. That's my understanding.
Just saying this, South Carolina, and it's a federal grand jury.
Yes.
And it's a federal felony. My point is, what are we doing to help, or why are we doing this at this level if this is at the state now, and this is a hate crime? April 22nd. I don't know. Again, I just want to understand what we're doing, and if I understand my colleague Mark here, we have some areas that'll cross over and do things we don't want it to do unintendedly. We're going into a second reading here. Are we doing the right thing? Please, help me out there, Logan.
Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tom, and I'm 100% with Mark. I voted no against it last time. The problem with this is it could be a slippery slope. Everybody always wants to look at it from the mainstream side, but forget the consequences of the rest of it. So now you can just go tit for tat all day on this hate crime bill if this moves forward. So people want to look at it, and usually they want to say that it has to do with race, but there's so many other things that fall into this that nobody else wants to discuss or have conversations about. But this opens up a door for a lot of angles. And then also, who is in charge of saying that's why someone did it? So let's just say a crime happens against a man against a woman. Is that considered a hate crime? Because it could fall into that. You could say that a man hates women and that's why he did it and he targeted a woman. So now it's also a hate crime. Or vice versa, a woman towards a man, or you can do race, however you want to do it. I mean, you can play the game all day, but this opens up the door for that.
Chair, just one more thing I want to follow up on with that. We have heard from Risa Prinz on many, I've known her for a lot of years. I find her highly credible, passionate at what she does, and I supported her, and I think one of my votes here to bring this along. But the more I read and understand this, and having these questions that are out there, I think we just got to slow down or just take it off our table at this point. And again, I have tremendous respect for Risa and what she's done and will continue to do, and we'll listen. But I think we're at a crossroads now that we can cause a little more trouble than we should. And again, that's just one councilman's opinion. Thank you.
So if I could add a little context, and Mr. Hulbert will quickly correct me if I'm wrong, when we met with the sheriff and the solicitor and everybody else, this was a conversation, and the solicitor said it would be to his discretion to implement this. So if somebody's accused of murdering Miss Howard, to pile on a hate crime because they hate women is not going to change the sentence at all. So we had a whole discussion on this. The other municipalities in surrounding county put one of these through, and Mr. McEllen put it on the table, and that's where we are here.
Yeah, but Duffy Stone's not always going to be our solicitor. People change, but the ordinance will remain intact.
Correct.
And I just want to, one more thing to follow up with Tab. You said it's going to be the same thing anyway, the solicitor's going to do. My question is, what are we adding then if we're going to add a hate crime, just for the sake of it? And again, I want to understand your logic here before we move any further, that's all. I mean, you said the solicitor's going to do this anyway, whether we do this or not. So what is the reason, if there are these questions out there, that we're going to push this through the second reading? Is all I want to know.
Mr. Bartholomew, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so much of, I actually took the time to write down some comments, but most of it's already been covered. So I'm going to skip around, but bear with me. I did abstain last time. I wanted to do some more research. But I'm going to read this real quick. After careful consideration, I'm opposed to Ordinance 2026/15. My opposition is not because the sentiment behind it is unworthy, but because good intentions do not cure a constitutionally defective ordinance. I did want to acknowledge that our staff did take the time to go through and try to navigate the First Amendment. They converted the charging language over to may rather than shall. They created the prosecutorial discretion, which I think is a huge element of this, and they tied it to potentially or essentially violent crimes. But the Attorney General's office put it well. A local ordinance too weak to address the serious nature of hate-motivated conduct would degrade and trivialize the very principles of fairness and justice the public wants this law to promote. The residents of Beaufort County deserve meaningful protection. This ordinance, if passed, invites immediate legal challenge, will almost certainly be enjoined or struck down, and will have accomplished nothing except to expend county resources in litigation, which the Attorney General's own office has effectively told us we would likely lose. The appropriate remedy is to press the General Assembly to act. 48 states have done so. The answer to South Carolina's outlier status is a statute and not an ordinance. This council has demonstrated it understands the constitutional terrain well enough to make that case to Columbia. That effort, not this ordinance, is where its energy is best directed. We must also be clear-eyed about what is at stake beyond this ordinance. The First Amendment does not protect only popular speech. It was designed precisely to protect speech that offends, that provokes, and that challenges. Every incremental erosion of that protection, however well-intentioned, normalizes the next. If a county may today criminalize expression tied to race or religion because the sentiment is repugnant, it establishes the precedent that government, at whatever level, may define the boundaries of acceptable speech. Thanks.
Anybody else comment or discussion item? All right.
If I might add?
Yes, Mr. Dawson.
We, Beaufort County, we're one of the counties that are surrounded by other counties who have created and established their hate crime law. The Attorney General said to strike theirs down, and so for us to say that we're not going to move forward with this because the Attorney General might strike it down, I think it's
us not wanting to actually
put this bill in place
for the simple reason of
others who are opposed to it. But I submit to us all that it is needed. We should move forward with it, and it actually should be applied to any hate crime that is shown toward any individual, regardless of race, creed, or color.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Anyone else? Comment, question? Go ahead.
The Attorney General can't strike down an ordinance or a statute. Only a court can declare that it's unconstitutional or it's void for vagueness and say that it's not enforceable. So it would take a prosecution and then a challenge in court for it to be struck down. Only a court can strike down an ordinance. And again, this ordinance is only before you because council directed that we prepare a resolution and an ordinance. I started cautioning you from the very beginning about adopting an ordinance. I told you the Attorney General didn't think that it was constitutional, because the state legislature hadn't passed it, and I told you that it was appropriate for the state legislature to adopt this law. It was too serious a crime to be trivialized here at this level. 30 days doesn't add anything to a death sentence or a life sentence. It's just ridiculous to trivialize a hate crime to that level to being a misdemeanor as opposed to a felony. It should be a felony and add 10 years in the appropriate case is what most prosecutors would tell you. And the solicitor's opinion in our meeting was he didn't want his trial disrupted to where he would have to go in and try this charge in a magistrate's court, keeping his jury on hold for his case. He thought that was ridiculous. So he would prefer not to have it to where it was mandatory, and he didn't foresee any case that he would ever use it in for the types of cases that he prosecutes. Okay.
That was a really good point, the solicitor said, so that was a good point. All right, let's do a roll call vote, please. Ms. Brock?
Madam Chairman, before you do a roll call,
Yep.
Hearing what I've just heard, would it be better for us to submit to our legislators, and have we done that yet?
We sent a resolution up last
Okay.
week, the one that
Okay.
council adopted at the last meeting.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Passament?
Yes.
Councilmember Glover?
Yes.
Councilmember Reeds?
No.
Councilmember Lawson?
Mark Lawson, no.
Councilmember Dawson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cunningham?
No.
Councilmember Brown?
No.
Councilmember Bartholomew?
No.
Vice Chair Tabernick?
No.
Chair Howard?
Yes.
Okay, so to be clear, the ordinance dies here tonight.
Sir. Thank you for your work putting into it. I know that wasn't easy.
Yep, thank you. All right, 2026/16 is an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to convey a parcel of real property, TMS number R100-033-00A 021B000, to the Habitat for Humanity of the Low Country for development of workforce affordable housing and other matters related thereto. This is a public hearing. The vote at community service on March 2nd was 7-0. The vote at first reading, April 13th, 11-0.
I'd like to make that
So
motion.
moved, yep.
Ms. Howard made the motion. Who would like to second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Reed, second. All right, this is a public hearing, but you go. I'm going to ask you if you have anything to add, then I'll do a public hearing.
Nothing to add. This is the 1.38 acre parcel that is going to Habitat. Ms. Rath is here on behalf of Habitat if you have any questions, but I don't recall there being too much discussion at first reading.
Want to say something?
Everybody, thank you so much, Chairwoman Howard, and thank you again to all of Council. Heather Rath, for the record, on behalf of Habitat for Humanity. Thank you again. I will personally guarantee that each of you, whether you're on this council or not, as some of you are retiring, will be receiving an invitation to this ribbon cutting. And again, I want to thank you all, and I also want to thank Claude, who's here in the room with us. I'm so grateful that the Housing Trust has done down payment assistance for so many Habitat homes. So again, thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, this is a public hearing. No one signed up. Is there anyone from the public that would like to ask a question or make a comment? Now would be your opportunity. All right, seeing no one, I will close the public comment. Anyone from council have a comment or a question? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Thank you for staying for the night, Ms. Rath. Okay, going on to ordinance for first reading. So these are first reading for the public. They'll be a little more in depth. 2026/17 is an ordinance to amend Beaufort County's budget ordinance for fiscal year 2026, and it was ordinance number 2025/29, to amend Section 3, County Operations Revenues, and Section 4, County Operations Appropriation. The vote at the Finance Committee on April 20th was 9-0. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. And a second?
Second.
Mr. Cunningham makes a second. And We are going to have Ms. Harriet going to talk about this. This needs a little discussion.
Yes. Trying.
And for those of you looking at the packet, it's page 260.
Steve will get a copy of this, so he will make the amendment.
Yeah. So that's Brian said that's the amendment he gave you. Okay.
Yep.
Amendment, right?
Yeah, I can. I just figured she was going to present first if she needed to.
Right, so what Brian is referring to in the backup, Sarah, do you mind pulling it up, please?
'60s were the AIS is. Page.
Sorry, she has it by item. I'll start talking to it. It is this is the budget, fiscal year 26 budget amendment ordinance to purchase the sheriff's office helicopter for $1.95 million, as well as defease bonds that are callable currently to the tune of
$11,570,000.
Yeah. That's this was the old ordinance that amended the budget for the $4 million. Sorry, that threw me off. Yes, this one. So this is the one that we presented at Finance Committee, was the $1.9 million, $1,950,000 for the sheriff's office helicopter, and the 11.57 for the callable redemption of some series bonds that we have, which is Series 2013B, 2014A, and 2014B. The $11.5 million and the 1.9 is projected to come from the fund balance from the general fund.
Is there questions?
Yeah, I would, if given the time, I'd like to make an amendment to this as well to appropriate $5,207,633 to go towards the Buckwalter Complex project, and that would move the total to $18,727,636.
Second that.
So yeah, I made the motion because this will be the funding source for the 2 extra ball fields to be able to do it in one swoop. Like I said before, this has been a project we've discussed for 5 years. Usually, none of these projects are fully done with impact fees, but this gives us a chance to save us about $2 to $2.2 million and 3 to 5 years of waiting time if we can do this now.
All right, any discussion, question? All right, we're voting on the amendment
Correct.
to the ordinance. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. All opposed? We have 2 opposed. All right. Now we'll vote on the original ordinance as amended. All in favor? All right, all opposed? 2. Okay, thank
So
you.
to be clear, at the next meeting, we will bring the amended ordinance that it totals $18,727,633.
Yes.
And we'll include an additional preamble paragraph for your change.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, thank you. The next 2 would be Mr. Fralix. This has been his lifeblood for how many years now? I don't even know. It's ordinance 2026/18, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real property from the town of Hilton Head Island for the St. James Baptist Church relocation. The vote at public facilities, April 20th. I'm sorry, I blacked that one out. Was 10-0. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Who made the move?
Tom.
Mr. Reeds. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Mr. Fralix, you want to explain this one, please?
Yes, and similar to earlier in the agenda, these This one and the next one are connected, both separate ordinances. But so this is the St. James Church is at the end of the north end of the airport, or north end of the runway at the Hilton Head Airport. And we're relocating it to a parcel owned by the town of Hilton Head, a 5-acre site of their Mid-Island tract. And so this first ordinance is a conveyance from the town to the county. And then the second ordinance is at the conclusion of the project and construction of the church, the county will convey the property from the county to the church. So that's what these two agreements are for.
Can we combine them both?
Mind us how long you've been working on this with the town?
It's been a while, several years.
You've been very consistent, very persistent. We appreciate that.
Can we combine the both and?
Pardon me?
Can we combine these both and just?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can combine because they
Motion.
go together.
I take that as a motion. I'll make the second.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, any other question or comment? Yes.
Say that this all, I think I wasn't even on council yet whenever this first came about. So giving Jared, how long would, obviously the church sat at the end of the runway. The church needed to be moved by, according to FFA. And again, this has grown and gotten bigger and more things included. I'm glad to see we're finally at the end here. I'm glad to see that the church got what they wanted, and this is going to be a good thing for them. But again, this has been a long episode of us going through. And again, it is costing us a lot more than was ever first anticipated. But again, it's money well spent.
Anyone else, comment, question? All right. Two ordinances, 2026-18 and 2026-19. All in favor of those two ordinances, raise your hand. These are for St. James Church. All right, thank you. Okay, an ordinance to appropriate fund balance funds 1401 and 1600 to fund the USCB Convocation Center project. And I'm going to combine this with E, which is 2026/21, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2025/20 to reallocate funds from the 2025 Series GO bonds to fund the University of South Carolina Beaufort Convocation Center. And both of these were voted on at the Finance Committee April 20th, and it was defeated 4-5. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Passman. A second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. And just so we're clear, we're putting the two together. It's funding for USCB Convocation Center. Ms. Harriet?
Mentioned they're together because the total amount is the $11.1 million. Of that is the $650,000 from the mill increase for Beaufort Memorial Hospital and TCL at $950,000. So that's the $1.6 million from the two sub-funds of the general fund, as well as the $9.5 million from the Law Enforcement Center project that was issued as a part of the 2025 Series GO bond. So combined total, which was option 4 presented to council a couple months ago, and that equals $11.1 million.
And just for the public's knowledge, we have talked about this. We had workshops on it. We talked about it at finance. We've talked about it at council meetings. And so now it's finally come to vote as an ordinance at first reading. All right. Anybody have comment, question on the, yes, Mr. Cunningham?
Yeah, I mean, I've came out against this from the beginning. The idea sounds great. I said before, I don't think it's the right time. The heaviest traveled road is 170 and 278, and this lead is right there on both of them. And you're in my district. All it's going to do is add traffic. I think this is something that could happen in the future, but I don't think it's the right time now. The other part is, if we can spend this $11 million now, then they already said they're going to ask us for more to get to that $20 million. If we can spend it on that center but not take care of our roads, I have a problem with that. If we have extra money, we should be taking care of our citizens that are already here, not worrying about growing a state institution. So if they get this funded through investors and so on, so be it. That's their prerogative, but we gave them that task over a year ago, and the needle did not move at all in 12 months. So I am against funding it through these sources or any other tax dollars of our Beaufort County residents right now.
Other comment or questions from council members? Yes, Mr. Lawson.
Go ahead and say that I am still in support of this. I think that USCB has been a very, very important part of our community. You look to see what it's done for the kids here that can stay home and go to school and get an education, which before they would have had to leave and go someplace else. So I think that this is a very important part of what we need to do. I remember back whenever the county council first decided they were going to fund higher education, TCL and USCB, and there was pushback from people that said we were wasting money. But again, you look at what we've reaped in benefits, what's come about. The state has put in their $47 million. Yes, they did ask us for a lot more, but again, on me coming from county council, I think that we need to fund some part of this because again, it's only going to benefit our citizens and our county.
I want to echo what Mr. Cunningham said. This is technically in my district. I reach up there, and it would throw a growth bomb onto 278 where we're already having issues. They just presented to us their request for next year, and the officer said 34% of their students are Beaufort students. They're from Beaufort County. So they need to go to the state. They need to go to alumni and,
Jasper.
yeah, and solicit their funding. So I'm going to vote no on this one. Anybody else?
I have one thing to say, and I had asked Dr. Pinault when he was standing here, there's a campus down the south end of Hilton Head Island, and it was never, my question was never answered, how many students attend that campus. And I think if they could sell, that's prime real estate down there, if they could sell that property and put it into the arena on the other end of the Beaufort County.
Chair?
People just continue to come to us, you know, for money, for this, for that, and you know, it's here sitting next to me. They haven't made an effort to go out to. I actually gave them 2 references out of Washington, D.C. One of my old bosses went to GW University on a baseball scholarship. He also helped create the National Baseball Stadium in the District of Columbia. That was one reference. The other one was a woman that went to journalism school at University of South Carolina in Columbia. And then she left left school to go work in the Clinton White House in the West Wing. And I gave them her information as well. So there's a lot of opportunities they could take instead of us paying for, and I'm going to vote no for this.
Mr. Reeds, did you want to, okay.
Yeah, I live very close to that southern campus that Ms. Brown is talking about. There is an awful lot of money they put into that. It's a beautiful campus, and we're doing some voting there. Voting is held there. I don't know of any students that are there. And but it's state of the art. My thing is, why don't we work with Dr. Pinault and others aggressively and passionately, to see what we can do with that facility? Whether they sell it and use it toward their convocational center up in your neck tab, but that is a prime piece of property, not even used. So.
Anybody else on council? Question, comment, discussion?
Madam Chairman, thank you. Whether this motion passes or not, I'm committed to seeing USCB here in Beaufort and Bluffton, just like Coastal Carolina, and it's going to take this effort of council to support them moving forward. So whether this passes or not, I am committed to doing whatever is necessary to make sure that one day Coastal Carolina will be right here in Beaufort. Thank you.
Right, anybody else? What we're talking about right now is funding $11.7 million from public funds for USCB Convocation Center. So would you do a roll call, please, Ms. Brock?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Passamit?
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson?
Mark Lawson, yes.
No.
Councilmember Glover?
Yes.
Councilmember Dawson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cunningham?
No.
Councilmember Brown?
No.
Councilmember Bartholomew?
No.
Vice Chair Tabernick?
No.
Chair Howard?
No.
The motion fails.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. So the ordinance does not move forward. All right, we are on ordinance 2026/22, an ordinance to amend the current disaster recovery ordinance. The vote at public facilities on April 20th was 10-0. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any-
Second it.
All right, second. Anybody pick your choice. Hello, Mr. Kraus. What say you on this?
Good evening, Council. So this is the update of our disaster recovery ordinance, our guiding document for disaster recovery. So there's some structural and administrative changes. Basically, we're bringing the ordinance up to date, how we currently operate the recovery in the county in 2026. So we've added some definitions, some things to get us current with the FEMA side of things, as well as remove some outdated position language, and just kind of done a full update. Anything on the ordinance that needed a bit of change, we took care of that. Any questions for me?
I'd like to make a comment. Excellent work. We'll all want to know what this says if we have another disaster like Matthew, and really appreciate the time and effort y'all have put into us up to speed and up to date. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Hurricane Matthew, that's the guiding storm for us, planning for that and worse.
And I just wanted the public to, I was especially interested in the packet, page 356, the org chart for Recovery Task Force. So it tells the public exactly who does what. So we do have a plan. We won't be left stranded after Hurricane Zelda or whichever one comes. Well, I'm just making it up. Hurricane Tabernacle, I don't know what to say. But there is a plan, there is a task force, and I applaud you for doing this. Thank you.
And the other cool part too is it can be phased in and phased out. So the plan, whether we get hit with a hurricane or not, there's things in there for tropical storms, if we're put on alert. So you hate to say you have to use the plan, but the plan can be used at different stages as well.
Thanks for your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Anybody else, council?
Thanks for staying 2 hours for that.
All right, all in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. All right? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2026/23, is an ordinance authorizing county administrator to execute all necessary documents to convey the county's right-of-way interest in a segment of Shepherd Lane to SCDOT and to accept the SCDOT right-of-way interest in a segment of Roosevelt Avenue into the county road inventory. The vote at public facilities April 20th was 10-0, and we'd
So
love to hear,
moved.
motion?
I'll make a second.
Okay, Mr. Cunningham, and then Ms. Howard is the second. And Jared, Mr. Frelick, you want to talk about this? Because we don't take roads into our county inventory willy-nilly, so.
No, this is just a straight swap with DOT, basically 2 paved roads in good condition, just in Shepherd Lane. DOT owns all the other roads around it. We just happen to own that little portion, and vice versa. On Roosevelt, we own a portion of it and they own a portion of it. It's about the same length as Shepherd, so we'll take that portion from them. So it's just a cleanup of the 2 different ownerships of roads.
All right, anyone question for Mr. Frelick or comment? All right, thank you. All in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Okay, and I guess you're going to probably do the next one. 2026/24 is an ordinance authorizing the county administrator to execute any and all necessary documents for the acceptance of a portion of Airport Circle S776, which is to be abandoned by SCDOT. The vote at public facilities April 20th was 10-0. Can I,
Madam Chairman.
a motion from Mr. Glover, a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Howard does a second. So they would like to they have abandoned this.
Yeah, well, we had assumed that it was ours for a long time. So anyways, we found this when we were working on the 2018 widening of 21 there in front of Walmart. And when we uncovered it, this too is kind of synchronizing and getting our documents right. So we own the rear portion of Airport Circle, which is a dirt road. This is the paved portion in front of Walmart going to the airport. And again, this was something we already assumed we owned, but realized that it wasn't. It's DOT owned, so this is transferring for county full ownership.
Just for clarity, this is the Beaufort Executive Airport.
Correct.
Okay, because when you say airport, most people think.
Sorry, Beaufort
Hilton Head.
Executive, Ladies Island.
Yeah, we were just out there for the Flying Frog, whatever it was. All right, any question for Jared or discussion? All right, all in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Thank you. And my last one is 2026/25, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of an undeveloped portion of real property adjacent to Nanny Cove Road, located in a section of Palmetto Beach in Bluffton Township, Beaufort County. The vote at Public Facilities, April 20th, was 10-0. Mr. Cunningham makes a motion.
Second it.
Thank you. Who said that, Mr. Lawson? Okay. We have a motion and second. You have anything to contribute on this one?
Yeah, this one, again, same vein as the other two, cleaning up some right-of-way. This is a section of roadway off of Alljoy. Nanny Cove makes a circle back to Alljoy in 2 points, and this is a small section that was originally included in the deed. It's never been developed. The landowners approached us. They've been maintaining it. It actually goes to the marsh there, and we don't have any drainage through that area, and they've asked to take half of that back to split amongst the two landowners.
In there, and so yes, this is in my area, and I think according to state law, the only people that can claim that is actually the owners that are next to it. So it's not like someone else can come in and say, that's so they have applied then to actually absorb that into each, split it down the middle, each one take it back. But again, it is kind of just a blip that they didn't own, and again, it was county, and we weren't maintaining it. So again, that's just where this came from, and the owners are again asking to add it to their property on either side.
All right, anyone else, question or comment? All right, all in favor of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Thank you, and that gratefully finishes our ordinances.
Okay, we have,
The longest agenda we've ever had.
You got more coming.
we've got some resolutions to talk about. 15A is 2615, a resolution of the County Council of Beaufort County adopting a merit pay policy and associated appendix to the Beaufort County Personnel Handbook. The vote at the Finance Administration and Economic Development Committee on April 20th, 2026 was 8-0. This is something we've talked about for several years.
So moved.
All right,
Madam
we have a
Chair.
motion by Councilman Cunningham and a second by Councilman Bartholomew. Any discussion? All right, by show of hands, all in favor? All right, thank you.
Chairman,
Yes.
we just voted that, and this is to incorporate merit pay. A question, because I've always had issues with merit pay, so that's obvious. In order to get merit pay, or you must have had an evaluation for the intent toward merit. So my question is, has everybody in the system been evaluated at this time?
Everyone that's been here for at least 12 months has, yes, sir.
Has been evaluated?
Correct. And the merit policy has in place that this will be effective July 1. We're also incorporating a 1% COLA countywide on July 1. But the merit increases will take place on their anniversary date, which will, of course, spread throughout the fiscal year.
Our work anniversary date.
Correct.
Any other questions or
No, that's it.
comments?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, did we, did we do the show? We did it.
Yeah, we
It
voted
passed.
already.
Yeah, we
Yeah, that was
voted.
after the
Okay,
fact.
thank you, Ms. Mead. All right, B is 2026-15, a resolution to commission the Solid Waste and Recycling Enforcement Officer. Vote at Public Facilities Committee on April 20th was 10-0. And,
So moved.
so moved.
I'll second.
And a second, all in favor? All right. She was at Earth Day Friday too, our new enforcement officer, yeah. But she came from within the department, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
C, 2026-17, a resolution endorsing the updated Beaufort County Disaster Recovery Plan, which we just heard about. The vote at Public Facilities Committee was April 20th, 2026. The vote was 10-0. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. Second? All in favor by show of hands? and that is unanimous. D, 2026-18, a resolution to accept the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission's Commercial Airport Entitlement Grant in the amount of $1 million for the Hilton Head Airport Terminal Improvement Project Phase 2, contingent upon final grant offer. The
So
vote-
moved.
All right, we have a vote, motion by Councilman Reitz and a second by Councilman Cunningham. All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, 2026-19, a resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into an MOU with the Port Royal Sound Foundation. The vote at public facilities on April 20th was 10-0. Do I have a motion?
So,
All right, motion by Ms. Tabernick, second
second.
by Councilman Passman. All in favor?
Before you vote,
Oh, discussion? Okay.
yeah, I was at the Northern Regional Planning Committee meeting this past Friday, and they had foundation to come in to assess water quality in Beaufort County, particularly the Port Royal Sound. And at that meeting, they are doing a lot of research work at this time, and I just want the staff, to look at the possibility as they look at this MOU, to see whether we can help them some more in some of their funding. They're trying to bring on level 2 this time, and it costs, but it's all beneficial to Beaufort County to make, as we move forward, to try to improve the quality of water out there and stuff, and that's so essential. When you start looking at places like May River, contamination has happened. Port Royal Sound is also getting contaminated and inundated, and it's going to lead to the St. Helena Sound, which is not a problem right now, but if we don't protect Port Royal Sound, May River, then St. Helena is going to be impacted as well. So I just want the administration to look at, see how we can help them further do that research data that they need to make decisions, or better decisions. That's all.
Ms. Taylor, would you like to comment?
Yes, ma'am. I do appreciate that you understand the importance of this project. We did ask that this be available for renewal annually without coming back to council, so that we can further aid them in their research projects.
Thank you.
Did we vote? We did not vote yet on that. This is the final one. Great comments, Councilman Glover. I agree. All in favor of this? All right, and that is unanimous. And without further business, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
I said more than an hour.
Good night, Councilmember Dawson.